Wish we were in person,
I know.
man, with some warm food.
It says we're live.
Mhm.
Nackie, what are you doing on a
Um,
Tuesday night?
I am hanging out with the Essence of Mana crew. Talanoa Tuesdays is what you're looking at.
What a great evening where we get to flip the script and we get to be the hosts of Talanoa Tuesday. If we do it bad enough, they'll never invite us back, Nackie.
Heck no. We coming back. We coming back.
Ah,
All right, why don't you? I'm going to introduce Miss Nani Wilson.
Mhm.
Um, Nani Wilson is a longtime member of the community activist group. She has worked in a bunch of different organizations. Right now, she's at AARS, Asian American Recovery Services, of which we've done work with, we've shared time with. We love the work that AARS is doing. Essence of Mana has taken on several different iterations, I will say, and they've been able to grow with the times and adapt. So, welcome, Miss Nani Wilson.
thank you. It's nice to be here with you, beautiful souls. I appreciate it. Flipping the script. And, it's actually kind of full circle, right? We started out with you, beautiful souls, and we are so appreciative to, be in the space where you get to grill us.
Good point. Good point.
Up next, we have our Lueni Masina, Lulu. Our Lulu was born and raised in the Bay Area. She's a San Francisco native and a proud Samoan woman. She's doing the work nonprofit she's been doing it for a couple of years, few years, and she's heavily involved with community programs and organizations since she was 12, being raised in a culture that emphasizes one's tautua or service to others. She aims to give back to the community by sharing resources and creating safe spaces to raise awareness on wellness in Pacific Islander. Welcome, Lulu.
Thank you. Like Naki said, I am a proud San Francisco native, which means I am a proud Niner fan. So, I just had to mention
Oh,
that. Sorry, girl.
disrespectful.
I had to win or lose. I'm a Niner faithful. So,
That's
yes,
right.
I am so happy to be here. Um, Everyone in this video has inspired my work and has really played part in who I am today and the role that I have in the community. So I thank all three of you for just paving the way because it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the continuous work all three of you have done in the past and now. So I'm glad to be here.
Yay,
It's awesome. I
Lulu.
remember Journey to Empowerment, Lulu, and I remember you facilitating, and Naki and I always talk about if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. And if you're uncomfortable, you're growing. Those are moments where
Right.
you put yourself out there and you're reaching. And I remember you were nervous to just go through. I think it was the village voice, the rules, like
Right.
one mic, one voice, and you were nervous going through that. And now you're facilitating Talanoa Tuesday regularly and doing an amazing job. So when we think about growing, for you to say that we inspire you, I look to all kinds of different generations for inspiration, and you're an inspiration for me to see just how far you've come from that person that was running the show and was just pointing at the board, and you didn't want to look at the group. I remember you're just going to look at the board and read the rules. It's amazing to see how far you've came.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I was a completely different person 3 years ago, and a lot of the work that I do now on Talanoa Tuesday, I blame it on COVID because it forced me to be in the forefront for our Facebook page. So yes, come a long way. But yes, thank you.
Yeah,
That's
I think
awesome.
that COVID has really pushed people to do things. I think about like Samoan solutions with Fangongo Samoa, and they just refuse to not, that just unstoppable. We're going to do it anyway. And they come up with their own concept to do a drive in and still do, still do what they're going to do. And I think that just that creativity that everybody's had to adapt to COVID, and here we are, kind of a evolution of Essence of Mana. Can you kind of take us through Essence of Mana, because we're doing what we're doing today isn't how it started, and we love the journey that ends up with us sharing space with you on Tuesday. But talk a little bit about Essence of Mana and the program and how you end up where we're at today.
So the Essence of Mana program actually was something that we had started way back when with the county, where there was the first Pacific Islander parenting class, and San Mateo County's Office of Diversity and Equity really invested in that kind of thing. The sad part was that as time progressed, the county decided that they were going to go in alternate directions, and we tried to advocate for our Pacific Islander community, and that just, it was a no-go. It was just like something that was not going to happen. It phased out from Pacific Islander specific to culturally specific to then just general. It ended up being English class or Spanish class. And so we really were trying to figure out how could we continue to provide these safe spaces for Pacific Islanders. And we were lucky enough to, still continue the work, but doing it in different capacities. And then we were able to actually find funding through the state to be able to continue on having this, where there was Pacific Islander facilitators that spoke Samoan or understood Samoan, and also spoke Tongan and understood Tongan, and were able to come with their lived experiences and help facilitate these classes, which was a 12-week course. And we are still doing it. We're still doing it now. We're very inclusive and welcoming to all, but we also had a youth component, and I really would love Lulu to share about the youth component, because it's really a very important part of looking at the family as a whole. So maybe Lulu can update you on that part of the programming.
Yeah, thank you. So, the youth component is very special to me. One thing about this component is we wanted to keep it cultural and really focus on Pacific Islander culture, because we noticed that a lot of times that, like, today's generation, they don't really have the resources, or they don't have the teachers that we had back then to teach us about culture. Like, as the generations get older, we start to lose that cultural touch with our youth. And so it was little simple things such as teaching a kid how to say thank you in Samoan, or how to say hello in Tongan, and just show them these cultural practices, and it, through arts too. So a few of our cohorts, we taught them how to do a sasa. We taught them how to sing Tongan hymns or Samoan hymns. So it was very good, because a lot of also, I know now there's a lot of talk about being like a plastic Samoan. I can say that from my experience. I have gotten that talk so much, like, just because I am not as fluent as I would like to be in the Samoan language. So for us to affirm our children and let them know that they're even if they're half Samoan, they're full Samoan. It doesn't matter the percentages. It doesn't matter. You're Samoan enough. You're Tongan enough. You're you're just enough. You're enough in general, and just affirming these kids and knowing that they're in the right place. And whether you're starting at a very beginner level of learning these cultural things, that's fine with us, and we'll just embark on this journey together.
Awesome. We just wanted to, I think we have some clips we wanted to introduce first before we jump back in the MANA program, because there's so much to cover in the MANA program. I just wanted to go over the sustainability clips. So can we pop those up, and then we can head on over to our questions and answers. And then we really want to get to know you, Lulu, and get to know Nani. I mean, we know you guys, but it'll be good for everyone tuned in to hear a little bit about your personal stories.
Let's see. So we are doing the sustainability clip.
Yes. And Lulu's gonna pop them up.
Okay, that's good. because I was looking and I was lost. You said that and I was like, okay, let's act like we know what we're doing now. Thank you, Lou.
My name is Lueni Masina. I am the project coordinator for the Essence of Mana program.
My name is Nani Wilson. I work for Asian American Recovery Services, which is a program of Health Right 360. I am the program supervisor for the Essence of Mana program. We are making a difference for our village. Our village really means that it starts with the child. So we're working with the children. It's also with the parents, and it's also with our elders. So it's all three of our family unit. And, you know, our households are multi-generational. So we have to be able to aim and look at, you know, how do you raise this child when you have the grandmother or the great grandmother in the household and everybody kind of having a common vision. And so it's really the whole village that we're working with.
Health equity in my community would look like having programs that are culturally competent, programs that have professionals that look like myself, that have welcoming faces. Our people are not usually comfortable with folks they do not know. So to have a face that is welcoming and that looks like us ensures us that we are in the right place.
It's really important that we collect and disaggregate data. We don't have any data, and that's why you see like, well, what's going on with the PI community? Well, we know as people that are Pacific Islander, but yet the rest of the world doesn't because we don't have data. So we need to collect it, and we need to not be lumped in with the API. We are PI specific, and that's Pacific Islander for abbreviation. Pacific Islanders really should be invited to spaces like this to share our stories, not to have somebody else tell our stories. We are the oral history people who can tell our own stories, and that's why we need to be invited to spaces like this so that we can share our stories.
So true. So true. We need to be at those tables where we can talk about what we need, what we want ourselves. So I think that's beautiful. Well put. I love that clip because it's you two explaining Essence of Mana. And do we have another clip, Lulu?
We do. And actually, I wanted to just share that out of all the IPPs for California, we are the only Pacific Islander IPP. So that is really powerful. And it's very, very powerful. And that we have to keep making sure that there's more Pacific Islanders that are able to be in these spaces.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. It's the first and hopefully not the last, right? We want to continue to talk about, say these words and grow, and hopefully the whole state, the country will have all this, and it'll be normal for our kids, our community to see these programs and know that it's normal.
Yes.
Are we going through all the clips, or are we?
No, I think the clip is towards the later half of the.
Okay. So what we want to do is, because we know you, but if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, Lulu, like how did you get involved in this kind of work and what drives you to continue to do it? You know, like heart work is hard, right? So you really have to have a passion for it. How did you get involved and how did you get started?
Yeah, thank you. So, like I said in my bio, I'm still new to this world, but I'm no stranger to nonprofits and organizations. So I am a product of PRYA. I was in PRYA for 10 years. 14 years. Yes, and for those who aren't familiar with PRYA, it is the Pacific Islander Youth Alliance with the Samoan Community Development Center. So I believe I started there in 7th grade, and I was actually there for maybe a year or two, like when I was in college. So I was there for a long time. So I was able to see all the hard work and just witnessed everything by Auntie Patsy, Auntie John, all of their hard work. For as long as I could remember, all I really wanted to do was help the community, and specifically our Pacific Islander community, just because there was a longing for that presence when I was going into school. Yes, San Francisco has a bunch of Samoans, but when I was in high school, I was the only Samoan there. So I was the only Samoan, and I craved this. I craved that Samoan presence that I had experienced in middle school. So it was culture shock. Um, but I think I got involved into art specifically. It was by chance. I was also part of a program called Pilot with Epic, and there I was able to meet Auntie Nani and Danny Boy, and it's crazy because I also went to College of San Mateo, so I was part of Ursula Ann's film class, and Auntie Nani showed her digital film there, and I only knew of her. I only knew of her. I heard of Danny Boy, but I had never interacted with them. So after Ursa's class, I saw the pilot flyer, and by chance, I got into cohort 8, and that's when I met Antonani. And it's really funny because one of my best friends, she heard about the position with Essence of Mana, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." But me being the timid and old Lulu that you guys know, the shy one, I didn't think I was qualified enough just because I was still going to school, and yeah, it was just I didn't think I was qualified enough, but she encouraged me. I got some words of wisdom from Auntie Nani, and she just encouraged me to do it. And so I came for the position, and luckily I got it. And nothing's been the same. Life has not been the same since then. It's just been a whirlwind, and I'm so blessed to have made so many connections. And I commend and I applaud everyone who does this work, who puts in this hard work, such as Someone Solutions, PBD, SCDC. When I was in pilot, the work is not easy. You all make it look so easy, and I'm the biggest advocate because now that I'm on this side of the nonprofit world, I know the struggles you have to go through, all the frustration, all the blood, sweat, and tears, especially sweat, that goes into these programs and making it accessible for our community. So, yeah, PRYA, and then now I'm here. So I'm so proud to be where I'm at now. And I don't think I would choose any other occupation, to be honest. I really can't imagine doing anything else.
It's so true that you got to love what you're doing. I mean, if you're in this, if you're doing what you're doing, you've got to love doing it, or it's just going to be a bad day at work every day. Then when you love it, you can have a bad day at work, and it's still a pretty good day, even when you have a bad day. But you just can't get into heart work without having your heart with it, or you're just not going to last. So welcome to it, and I'm new to it too.
We're new to it too, Sister Nani.
Yes,
Come
sister.
on now. And you've been doing this work for a long time. How did you get started in all of this, and how do you sustain staying in this work? Because there's good days and bad days, and sometimes you just want to stop because you know how our people get.
Right.
But how did you come to community work?
Oh, that's really a great question. So you rewind the clock and you go back probably close to 45 years, which takes me to a very young person. And I've always been embraced and around a lot of wise women. And shouts out to Tutu, my Auntie Mali, my Auntie Tina, all of the elders that, I was the young babysitter. So, they was doing their thing while I was babysitting all the kids. But my nature is to listen, right? And so I would listen to a lot of stories, and I would absorb, and I would inquire, and I just watched things as time went by. And I was born and raised in the city, from the Excelsior. Grandma's house was across the street from Crocker Park, which to our lovely Samoans, they know it as Geneva Park. But it's really called Crocker Amazon Park. And so, I was just able to kind of always be like the person that my friends always kind of came to with problems, issues, or just someone to talk to. And, we would laugh, we would cry, but that has always been my kind of nature as a counselor, kind of type with that ear. And that's just how it has always been. Um, And so, prior to coming here, I worked for a private nonprofit that, worked with the homeless community around mental health and alcohol and other drugs. So I had a lot of experience around that. And that's like 16 years, raising two kids. My oldest is, let me see, if I'm this old, he's that old. So he's 36 and my daughter's 32. They grown. When I see him, I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, brother? Because, he's so grown. And I'm sure he got a comment right now because, he has something to say. But it's always been that way. And really more so like, for me, I've always been very mixed, right? And so I always use the phrase too white to be brown, too brown to be white, because, um, growing up, Afghasi was not the thing to be because people, they already put you in a box. And then, being a voluptuous girl all my life, I was put in another box. And I was like, y'all can do all you want about putting me in a box. I'm about to stand on top of this box and tell you how it is. And so I found my
can attest
voice.
to that.
Yes, you can, girl. And we'll talk about that other voice later on after dark. But just finding your voice and then using it, and then just like knowing so many people are at the space that they don't feel comfortable enough to talk, and it's like talking about stuff really opens doors for healing. And that's why, regardless of what the situation is and how bad it is, it's like I always got to find something positive. I'm still human. I got to process and vent, but then I got to know there's some light always. And then there's a fire in me. When I see injustice, there is a fire in me that is part of my makeup, my DNA, and that's what keeps me going.
I remember we our crew used to hang out at Cafe Wellness on Friday nights, and I remember Nackie and I were driving home, which is an hour drive for her and 2 hour drive for me, and we were we were waiting for the light to get on to the freeway in San Francisco to get on 80. And we were like, can you believe like the people we're hanging out with, you and another one of our group, were talking about different places and how many beds they had in the
Yes.
shelters. You remember that, Naki?
Yes. Oh,
And we
yeah.
were
I remember that.
like what amazing people that we're around that know you can name a building or an organization, and you and the other group member were like, yeah, and they got 100 more beds in like 1999, and then in 2005, like you guys were having that discussion, and Naki and I, we didn't say anything at the time, but later when we were leaving, we were like, how do we end up rubbing shoulders with people that know the number of beds by building?
Who knew how many empty beds for homeless was at this shelter and how many homeless beds were available to homeless at this place? I was like, oh my God, can you just hear their conversation, the knowledge that you have, and to keep it in you, because you haven't been doing that work for a minute, but you still have your, feet to the ground. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was a conversation that you had with someone, and Carl and I were just in awe that
Blown away.
two community leaders knew how many people can get to a homeless bed, and that
By neighborhood, like, yeah, but over in the Mission, it's going to be this organization or that building. And it was, I didn't know that Naki caught the gist of that either until we were on the way home, and we were like, yeah, that was a moment where I was just completely blown away and impressed.
And
right.
can I tell you, the sad thing now is that we have our Pacific Islanders who are also homeless and who are also living in their cars and are also couch surfing. And this is really, it's hit our community as well. And so we really need to be looking at how to address this in housing and affordable housing. And when I say affordable, I don't mean by the criteria of San Francisco's income, because that's not affordable for anybody, but I mean for our people, our families that are working hard just to keep a roof over our heads. So
Yeah, it's so crazy that when we were growing up, Nani and I, to see a Pacific Islander homeless, no, it was unheard of, right? It just didn't happen. There was so many, we always think there's so many family members, and we're multi-generational homes, so we're used to taking in someone that a family member that needs a bed, right? And now today, and I'm not sure if it's the pandemic or the housing or whatever it is, we just can't fit that many people in where we live, right? And so people are choosing not to be a burden to their family and are choosing to sleep in their cars, which breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart. But we have to get them resources, and I love that that's what our community does, is find resources, but you got to want the help, and you got
Right,
to know that the programs are out there.
right,
You got
right.
to know where to go. And
Exactly.
that's what I love about Essence Samana and Asian American Recovery Services, is because there are people that look like you that can help you find what you need. And so I love this program. I love that people get to see people that look like them, because we're not going to walk into a building where there's no one that looks like us. Be uncomfortable, feel a certain kind of way. So, and you don't understand our struggle. So I
Exactly.
so thank you to you and your team there for doing the work that you do, which I absolutely love. And I'm a product of healing because of you. So I'm not going to cry, but I'm just saying, talking
That's it.
about like exactly what you said, talking about whatever you're going through is like 80% of clearing your problems or your soul. So
And can I
anyway,
just commend you for being able to find the inner strength to be able to stand up on your 2 feet and be able to walk the walk, and then provide a space for others who have been able to feel comfortable enough. And that's all it is. It's
right,
providing that safe space and being
right,
able to know that you're not alone on this journey, and that when
exactly,
I listen to what you say, I'm listening with my whole heart
right.
and soul. There's no judgment. I want to just hug you and embrace you. And of course, you know us, we're going to go eat.
We gonna go eat, child. That's all I talk about. That's all I talk about. But
We just got
I,
done with a whole show about food.
yeah,
Ooh.
that's all I talk about is food. But I do understand. I do hear you when you talk. I do understand that you listen, and again through experience, that you do listen at little key words that go off on your head, and that's why you're in this work. You know exactly what you're listening to, and you hear whatever you hear, because it's your talent, and then you dig and try to get to you try to get the person to open up, to see, let's try to see what we can do to help you. So I love that. And then you continue to do this amazing, amazing work. And we talked about what is Essence Samana. And you have a lot of families that come in. I've taken the class, the parenting class, which I love because I'm a mother of 5, and they range from ages, 30 to 12. And I love that through the 12-week program, I learn something new each time I go to class. I learn how to speak to my kid in a calm, kind of calm, but I don't haul off and beat my child. So it's a class that I highly recommend. I just can't even say enough about it. But what is the intent of Essence of Mana?
You want to take a stab at it, Lou?
Yes, I can. So you had already mentioned one of the key components of Essence of Mana, the whole communication aspect. We also realized that with this generation, it comes with a lot more troubles.
Yes.
If I'm allowed to say that, yeah,
Yes.
this
Yes, say
generation,
it.
this new
Say it.
generation. Okay, yeah, I'm just saying that because I have a 3-year-old sister, so I took the class as an older sister too. I don't have any kids, but I am the eldest of 3. So just looking at my 3-year-old sister now, I already know she's finna be a handful. And I look at my parents, I'm like, I don't remember. I don't think I was that bad. They're like, no, you weren't. So I think the reason behind that is because of all this new technology. She's 3 years old and she knows how to unlock an iPhone. She knows how to look for things on YouTube. I was still watching VHSs and Teletubbies. So, um, yeah, I think there are so many things that make it a lot more difficult to communicate with this generation. And that's one of our intentions, is to make that easier for parents and for caregivers and for older siblings or cousins who may have to babysit their cousins or babysit their younger siblings. Yeah, we just provide those tools. We're not telling parents how to parent, because I know my parents, they probably look at me when I say, "Oh, can you take my class?" They're going to be like, "I'm a good parent. Why are you telling me? I know how to parent." We're not telling them how to parent. We're just adding extra tools into their toolbox, as Auntie Nani would say. So, yeah, Auntie Nani, you want to cover the rest?
Sure, Lulu. Thank you. And I think it's really important that Lulu was able to share, because it is important that our class invites all ages, and we do have adult siblings, basically young siblings that are raising their, younger brothers and sisters. And it is about communication. We also share awareness. We have our Pacific Islander speakers come in, and they talk about being LGBTQ, and we talk about relationships. And so, oh, how do you let your teenager start dating? Well, what if your teenager wants to start dating the same sex? And we plant these seeds to be like, well, let's try to be open-minded. You know what I mean? We have our lovely speaker who comes in and talks about that. We have our other speaker who comes in and talks about being in the gangs and all of our local gangs, and what does that look like, and what are some of the trends you should look for. We have our NCPP program that comes in and talks to the parents about the current trends around like vape pens and alcohol and drugs and stuff like that. So we want to keep this discussion going, because a lot of parents don't believe what's happening locally. I always blow folks' mind when I talk about human trafficking. It's alive and well, sadly, in our neighborhood. And I'm like, yes, right here in South San Francisco. And they're like, no, no way. And then later on, they'll be like, oh my goodness, did you know this? And yes, that's what we're trying to share. And so really it's about connecting our families to know that there's services there to help them with communicational tips, to always be respectful and provide this in a cultural way. And I think that that's the difference, is that, if you are an Islander, you've been raised a little different than here in America.
Right.
But we share. So here in California, if you spank your child, you should spank them with an open hand. If you have to, on the rear, don't leave a mark. We just say, you have to do that, but we're saying this is the law. And we're sharing education and awareness, because, we've had folks that have come through and have been mandated also to take the course. We've had a gamut of folks that have, wanted to take it just because they were curious, wanted some support. But it's I always say it's like that mat, we weave this mat of wellness, right? And we are just helping embrace the family as a whole, because we know when those kids go outside the door, we have no control of what's going to happen. The world out there is not a nice place.
Right.
So we want to help educate the family members who are helping to raise this. And, we have, like Lou was saying, we have multi-generational in our one household. And so when you got the great grandma in the house saying something, and the mama who's not there or is there says something, and then the uncle or the brother who's there, you have these different parenting skills, and we want everybody to try to be on the same page so that the poor kid doesn't get so confused. And so it's just to help folks out. And what really happens at the end is that people realize, oh, it really ain't about the kids, it's about us. And it's about finding support. Like, you've met new people now that are like, oh girl, I got 5 kids too, and so, well, I don't, but I mean, you do. And, how do you help, communicate better? And then, like Lou's sharing about her sister and helping raise her and stuff. So that's kind of it in a quick, legit,
I think that's
mold.
we're working on a gerontology and aging elders grant right now. And I was going through one of the classes, and they were talking about caring for elders in the home. And I really thought about the Pacific Islander families that, they're caring for elders, whether they've been trained to and they know how to, they're caring for elders. So getting training for the Pacific Islanders on how to take care of their elders means more to a community that's multi-generational in the home. And then to Lulu's point, you know, you're more likely to be part of childcare if you're in a Pacific Islander home. You're more likely to be parenting younger siblings or younger nephews and nieces than in different homes. So, you know, those are things that, like Nackie said, if there's a class that's being taught by people that look like me and can relate to me and sound like me, that's going to be a class that somebody's going to be far more likely to attend than you know, we heard about that with the smoking, the focus groups we had. They were like, we want to hear from the church and from community groups.
Right.
And what about the nope, didn't want to hear. I mean, like we tried to throw some other things in there, and the focus groups were like, it's the church or groups that we trust, and that was it. And I think that's big with the Pacific Islander community. It's got to be somebody that they trust. It's almost like you got to know, like, look, I need to know somebody that knows you. Like I need a referral that, you know, my cousin trusts you or my uncle does or something. But it's that close, tight knit thing that get people in to trust you. So have you had the success that you feel that you wanted at this point in the program, or is there things that you're reaching for at this point that you want to take the next step with?
Oh, well, you know.
Well, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. I get that. That put a hold on.
So let me just clarify for the family that's watching. Our parenting class is usually, our course is usually held in person, but due to the pandemic, we've had to go virtual. And we are currently in our first virtual ever class, which will end in December. And there's pluses and there's minuses, right? The plus part is that we actually have been able to have participants participate from all over, not just, you know, here in San Francisco and San Mateo County, but actually we've had some folks be able to participate from outside that realm, which is really a beautiful thing. And, you know, our goal would be, wouldn't that be wonderful if we could get our folks in the islands to be able to even participate, right? Because I know Sister Mona has been trying to get something like that down there. And so, you know, like right now being virtual is good, but the hard part is that our people are not like savvy like this, and also that we're about relationships and being in person. And like I can sit here like this right now with all of you, but I would prefer to sit down, break bread, have coffee, and spend not an hour or two, but like probably 5 hours chatting it up and, you know, really getting to know you and spend time with you. And so, you know, we're just trying to make do. And, you know, thanks to the lovely Lulu, we've been able to move forward on being virtual, because it's been a challenge for me because I'm old school. Like, no, don't put it on my Outlook calendar. I'm going to write it in my book. And then, you know, Lulu can share more because she's definitely been the key to us being able to go virtual.
Yeah, so like Auntie said, there's a lot of highs and lows with the pandemic and specifically with our program. I know we talk about these relationships and cultivating them in person, but I think one of the great things about this is, like how she mentioned, we're able to bring folks who are out from outside of the Bay Area. And unfortunately, I don't have my youth component just because we are virtual. I am able to build a lot more meaningful relationships with our participants. So that's also been a huge plus on my end, and just having those relationships more than just surface level and just, oh, you're the coordinator, you're the one who sends out the Zoom link. So it's much more than that. So yeah, I even though there can be improvements or there are other wants that we may want with our program, I am happy with where we are and how far we've come. And yeah.
And you know, we really wanted and thought we could hit high numbers, but you both know outreach is a challenge. Like we could outreach to 1,000 people, and we're lucky if we get five. But you know, I learned a long time ago when we first started this was that one person is so powerful. Two people's a fellowship.
Right.
That's it. We love that. It doesn't matter. We can go one person at a time, and we want to invest in each and every person. So I think that, it probably takes us this long to begin to build the momentum up. And, we've had referrals from people who've watched your show before. And then, of course, Lulu's been good with, Instagram and here on Facebook and making videos and putting it out there. And so, it's kind of like we want to see how we can extend this, because we're only funded for a certain amount of time, and we want to try to help find more funding to keep this happening, because this is something our community really needs, and we want to keep that and figure out how to keep it sustainable. And so
I think there's things that we can take away from the pandemic, like maybe doing like in a 5-week class, maybe the first one's in person and 3 are virtual, and then the last one's in person or something like there. I think there's a way that there's some things that we've learned through the pandemic, but really, and Nackie and I have talked about this when the pandemic first hit. We had ran down to our studio, literally like raced down there to get a bunch of our stuff out, and it's set up in her in her living or her dining room. And then we were like, I I really think that like SCDC and Essence of Mana, they're probably going to need to do something like virtual because of the pandemic. And then we were thinking, well, they haven't done those things, so I don't, And then like
Boom.
it was amazing to see how quick, intelligent, agile our Pacific Islander community is to get the programming out there and just find a way, and to see how fast, like it took us a long time to figure
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
anything about anything. You guys figured it out in like months. Like we need a show, we need some hosts, we need guests, and then bang, you guys were off and running. The same thing with Patsy at SCDC.
Right.
She still needs to, she still wanted to service the community. She found ways to do it. It was, Nackie and I were thinking, wow, they probably can't, because it took us so long to get up and running, and you guys just found a way. That was really cool to see.
Yeah. What I love about this pandemic is watching everybody, like when you really want to do something and you really find your passion, you're going to find a way to do the work. You're going to find, like SCDC has, they had PIYA online. They have, a cooking class. They have you guys are now Talanoa Tuesday. You're reaching the community through, Zoom and the internet. Journey to Empowerment is on. So much work. The Essence of Mana classes are on work. During this pandemic, what I love is I loved watching you guys grow and continue to grow. And really, I feel like with the internet, you're reaching more people through the internet, because you can. And like you said, there's people that are in your class that are not like local, right? They wouldn't have been able probably to get on had it not been for this pandemic. I love that there's so many people finding a way to still continue the work because you love it. So big kudo, shout out to you guys and everyone that's doing the work is finding a way.
We'll just say you figured it out faster than we did. It took us longer. It took us longer to do it. You guys were like months and just, I don't know how long it took, and I'm sure that we were laughing about that. Like, that's a lot of work. Like, people that just see it don't realize how much work goes into, like, it seems like, hey, just hit live and bang, you're on. And we knew what the learning curve was that you guys were going through. And it was really cool to see really the evolution of, like, we're going to still be relevant. We're still going to have programming. We're still going to help our people. So big ups to you guys.
First of all, we got to stop the clock, and I need to reverse the mic for a minute and say big ups to you, Brother Carl and Sister Nackie, because you two actually came together, had a dream, and just made it happen. And so because you made it look so easy, we were like, okay, let's try. They did it, let's try. And, you know, of course, you know, Junior over here pushing us out in the, pushing us out on the end of the
He was
bridge
like,
over there,
"Go,
like, y'all better
go."
go, go, go.
Yeah.
Like, why? I want to stay in the background, but I get that. And it's like, you guys did your podcast, Danny Boy and Bex did For the Culture, and then just all these arrays started happening. And that's what really, I think, encouraged our community to be like, okay, well, let's go ahead and try, you know, okay, let's try. And then, you know, Sister Patsy and myself were like, okay, you know, Lulu and the younger folks, you know, y'all can handle that. Tino, they got it. Let them connect the wires for us and we'll just get on when we got to. Troubleshoot. We were trying to troubleshoot before here, you know what I mean? And that's the beautiful thing is like, yeah, there is a lot to make it happen. You guys make it look so easy that the rest of our community should be able to. And they are actually, if you notice, we've got Fia, who's got Talanoa Wednesday, which is tomorrow from
Yes,
1 to
from
4.
1 to 4.
Hit
Awesome.
us up. You'll see the flyer there. And we've got a lot of other wonderful things. You know, Brother Neil's always doing something. He's got the queer side coming back. And then
Samoan Solutions has a virtual turkey trot.
yes, and
So
then
that's
I was
coming up.
Cafe Wellness was Swee started back
Oh,
up
that's right.
again.
Yeah.
And then so all of these spaces, you know, and I've seen a lot of other spaces too where folks are talking. That's what we just need to keep doing. Like it doesn't have to be us as the gatekeeper. It's like for our whole community,
Right.
the whole village should make this happen. We will become a mainstream like we should. You see it in the school district right now. San Francisco Unified School District is pushing. They are pushing. They are advocating. It is happening. Our kids are going to see books that resemble them. They're going to see
That's
teachers
right.
and counselors that resemble them. And that's all we need is to mainstream so that our younger folks can feel like, yes, I too can do that. So big ups to you guys,
Oh,
Facebook
thank you,
family.
sister.
Big shots out to PBD, which I love to call peanut butter and jelly.
Jelly.
Yay. Oh, and look, Nackie, I got your husband on my finger, the rock.
I'm gonna stay quiet on that one. I'm gonna stay
Uh-huh.
We're trying to keep it G-rated. We trying to keep it G-rated. And Junior is watching. Junior is watching.
Okay.
Boss man's on the, he's gonna see
Right,
this.
right.
So let's do I know why I wore this. I wore this to irritate Nani.
Yeah, he
Let's do a
did.
fashion check. What I want to hear about the hat.
That's beautiful.
That is amazing.
Okay, so I got tingles. This hat was, it's actually Tutu's hat. And I said, Tutu, can I borrow it? And then can I keep borrowing it for a while? It looked better in my closet. So thank you, Tutu. This hat was made by my Auntie Coke.
Rest in love.
Yeah, rest in love.
Yes.
Auntie Coke was an advocate for our people, always in many different levels, through government, through dance, through tradition. It was my dad's younger sister, and she used to go to the festivals and she sold them. And so this beautiful hat was made by her, and yeah, it comes out only in special times. It's just like the second time I've worn it, and it's been on Talanoa Tuesday. And so, just rest in love, Auntie Coke on Hawaii, and much love to her kids that are, and her grandkids that, are still here repping, and all of her siblings that are still alive here.
That's awesome.
Thank you, sister.
It's
I had meant to ask that earlier, and then I looked up and I'm like, wow, this time's flying by. And I was like, I have not asked about the fashion check. We haven't done that. Got to get that in there. That is a beautiful piece of art.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, sister, what inspired you guys to start the digital stories that are they have such a huge impact? And I don't know if people have seen it, but when you do watch the digital stories and that are told by Pacific Islanders, it is so deep, and it just reaches people that you're the core of your soul, because you know somebody that this has happened to. It's taboo topics, somebody that is domestic violence, child sexual abuse, and to have these stories. What started it? What inspired you guys to start those digital stories?
So it's really a beautiful beginning. It actually started in San Mateo County with the Office of Diversity and Equity. We do a lot of advocating and outreach um, for the community. And so there was the Pacific Islander Initiative, right, of San Mateo County. We've been a part of that ever since I've been here. And there was a space, and we wanted to encourage and make sure we had some Pacific Islanders there to tell their stories. And so we were able to take this 3-day workshop, and on the third day, you have to show your story to the community. So it was really hard because, it was Final Cut, it was all these kind of things. And me, I'm all about cut the picture out, get the tape and tape it in, right? And they're all like electronic and this and that. But it was really a powerful journey to be able to do that, because the end result was we still to this day use those stories in the community to, they're 3-minute stories that talk about, most of them are taboo topics. And then also with SCDC, we were able to, Patsy was able to get funding through another source, and they were able to do digital stories as well. And so we have this grip of digital stories that are very powerful stories. And then what we decided to do was just keep showing it in the community, keep having these healing circles and these talk circles, especially around these taboo topics, because we don't often do that. And from that, it was a true domino effect where it was one, then it was another, then it was another, then it was another. And, around those tough subjects, around domestic violence, around child abuse, around rape and molestation. And it was like, all of a sudden, from those consistent showings in the community in different areas. We even went to Sacramento, we went to LA, and we showed them. We went to these different spaces. We showed them with college students, we showed them with the general community. It really opened doors where I feel like a lot of our younger folks were able to be like, that's happened to me. And the surprising thing is, it doesn't matter if you're a male or female. It was happening to everybody. And so in order for it to happen, we also had to make sure that we had healing, right? And so in showing the stories, we have this dear storyteller, right? And we let people write anonymous letters, and then we seal them up and give them to the storytellers so that they can read them. And there's a lot of beautiful folks that have come back and been like, I still have my letters from the stories I told. And so just another opportunity again to bring awareness, to begin to heal and to open up the space, and, all in time, like all in time. And so that's how digital stories came about.
It's really beautiful, and it's I know that all the time you show it, people come out and say, this has happened to me, or so. Thank you for sharing that. Lulu, what is one of the programs that you really is one, not, well, I just say your favorite, or that you've learned a lot out of, or that people have touched you in a way where you're just like, man, this is the reason why I'm doing this?
I I honestly, I would say Pilot. Pilot was a huge influence in what I'm doing now. I mean, all the programs have been huge influences, but Pilot is probably what really sparked this fire. Um, Going into the program, I initially thought it was just higher education, and oh, it's important for me to go to college. But one of the main things that I took away from it was not so much on higher education and pursuing that, but the community work and what you can do for your community. And that program had activated me in many ways that I never even knew, like as far as being civilly engaged, and just me voicing my opinions and knowing that what I had to say mattered, but also going back to the community that once raised me. And that's what I'm doing now. Like, I am able to work with kids who used to be or who were in PIYA or programs like PIYA, and it's just been so rewarding, and seeing, I don't know, it's just so it's just weird, just because all the people I used to call auntie, and when I was in like programs at a CDC, I'm now their age of when I used to call them auntie or uncle or teacher. So it's just so, it's so weird. And like I said, I can't imagine myself doing anything else. And like my bio had said, we come from a culture where it's based on our tautua or service to others. And I'm so, whether my community recognizes if I'm doing work for them, it's fine with me. I know what I'm doing and my purpose and my intent. And hopefully, the person that I really want to see this is my younger sister, my 3-year-old sister. So if she can say, "Oh, I'm proud that that's my sister," 15 years from now, I'm good.
I think that's awesome. I think like you brought up Pilot, right? It's a program that inspired you to get into community work. I think that you have to know that the job you're doing there with the parenting class and Journey to Empowerment, that someone too has entered that program thinking, this is what I want to do. So you've got to, I know, and Carl and I always talk about how people are not going to say it to you. You know, it's just you're on this stage and people are watching you. And so you have to know that you too, Lulu, we already know Nani has, but that you, Lulu, have to know that you have inspired so many people to get into the community work because of your presence you know, at Journey to Empowerment, because they seen you at Essence of Mana, you know, and the very sentence that you said, or a couple of words that you said to them has inspired them to get into the work. So I want you to know that you are doing a great job in the community, and it's inspiring to watch you work. So thank
Yeah,
you for doing
I
what
mean, you're inspiring to me. And it was when I very first met you, um,
Yes.
doing Journey to Empowerment. And I was like, man, that girl is uncomfortable. And that's fantastic because
Mhm.
she's growing. She doesn't want to be up there, but she's facing that. She's getting through it, and you got better and better and better at it. And then I remember at one point you weren't even looking at the board. You were just facilitating the room. And I was like, man, that's inspiring to me. It's the people that if it looks easy and people, then it's like, well, how would I ever do that? And it's the people that are, that can be uncomfortable and grow in front of people too. It's not just growing and nobody's around to see it. So, I'm one of those that you've inspired. And, like Nackie said, there's some people are never going to tell you. They're not going to give you a phone call 20 years from now and say, hey, I saw you facilitate a Talanoa Tuesday or a Journey to Empowerment or something, and that really triggered something in me that I could do it. Like, you might get that phone call, but most likely you're affecting people that never pick up the phone and call you back and tell you.
Right.
I know people have told Nani, but I know there's hundreds and maybe thousands that never told her that she inspired them.
Yeah,
Great
Lulu,
point.
just to come full circle, Patsy Tito is on and she's saying, to you, Lulu, watching you grow up to become this young woman is phenomenal. So, yay.
That's it right there. And also Lulu, just in regards to Journey to Empowerment, she's been able to bring a lot of our college students and attract a
Mhm.
lot of our college students. And that's the generation that gets lost. We're like, oh, okay, kids up till you're 18, and then after that, you better figure it out. But really, it's our college students that need that support. They need to have those safe spaces, and definitely Lulu has been a leader and a frontier in making sure that they come and support that. And that's what we want.
Right,
We want to see that because that's our change agents. That's
right.
who's going to make a difference for her little sister is her.
Yes. And I'm so glad that these kinds of spaces are available to our college students, to our, our high school students, to whoever needs the space. It is available for you. So I just
Exactly.
want to, Ruth, do we have another video we need to share before we go on?
We do have video. So this video is a video that we did for a health conference that just passed that sucked the life out of us. But
The literal life.
it was
How do you make a slideshow? How do you do this? How do you talk to it? Oh, we did it. 14 minutes. Oh, you have 4 minutes. 4 minutes? We're still recuperating.
Yeah, it took forever for us to do it, but we're here today and we're proud of our product. So yeah, this video is a presentation that we just recently did for a health conference in October, and it just goes deeper in depth of our program and some of the outcomes from the actual parents themselves. Yes, I want to share this with everyone real quick.
Daniel said the struggle was real.
Yeah, Daniel had a presentation too.
Mhm.
He definitely.
Daniel will be joining us in a few weeks too, to share his experience.
Yay. We love Daniel.
That's so awesome. Only when we're the hosts do we not have to do the technical work. The poor guest is the one putting the video up.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Flores said one of the goals of Essence of Mana is develop young people like Lou.
My name is Lueni.
Sustainability is not just more funding, but developing young leaders. Thank you,
People.
Thank you, Mr. Flores.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to play this video real quick. And here we go. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Yorana, I am Nani Wilson, the project supervisor for the Essence of Mana program.
Talanoa, my name is Lueni Masina, and I am the project coordinator for Essence of Mana.
We are from Asian American Recovery Services, which is a program of Health Right 360, and we are located in South San Francisco, California. Thank you for taking.
I'm so sorry. I just realized it's showing. I'm so sorry. Okay, sorry. I will just.
That's okay. You figure that out because look at the young mind working. I love it.
You're fine.
There she got it.
Okay, thank you for your patience.
We wouldn't have figured that out.
Yorana, I am Nani Wilson, the project supervisor for the Essence of Mana program.
Talanoa, my name is Lueni Masina, and I am the project coordinator for Essence of Mana.
We are from Asian American Recovery Services, which is a program of Health Right 360, and we are located in South San Francisco, California. Thank you for taking the time to join our Essence of Mana poster session.
Being a Pacific Islander, we are able to acknowledge our culture and the experience. Some shared experiences can be family structure. For example, you may hear me refer to Nani as auntie out of respect. As a Pacific Islander, we are also able to recognize health and cultural practices such as the Samoa and Taulasia. We are also mindful that there are no Pacific Islander translations for terms such as mental health or depression. We are also able to raise awareness on taboo topics. As Islanders, we are able to navigate the best ways to approach our people and have these difficult conversations. Lastly, acculturation and assimilation of our people. We understand that life in the islands is far different from life in America. So, Auntie, what is Essence of Mana?
Thank you, Lulu. Essence of Mana, it is a community-defined evidence program for Pacific Islanders. It helps to improve relationships with children and parents. Also, it shares awareness around mental health, such as signs and symptoms. We also have education of the current trends on alcohol and other drug use. We promote healthy family relationships. We recognize how important culturally relevant referrals are. Empowerment of our community voice is crucial to our survival. Lulu, can you tell us about the techniques the Essence of Mana uses?
Of course, Auntie. Techniques that Essence of Mana practices are outreaching to community partners, schools, courts, and Pacific Islander churches. As participants join us, it is key to create a welcoming environment, such as playing island music in the background, all while breaking bread together as a family. Another technique would be having our 12-week program facilitated by Pacific Islanders who are able to address the various topics that were mentioned. An evaluation method would be documenting the changes in behavior and relationships between adults and their child or children. Pre and post surveys were administered to program participants from 4 of our 12-week cohorts within 2 years. During these 2 years, 45 surveys were matched and used for analysis to measure change in satisfaction in relationship with their children, concerns about their children's mental health, and the ability to show love and affection to their children. Here are just a few Essence of Mana strategies and best practices to serve the Pacific Islander community. Participants had certain views around parenting at the beginning of our cohort. We are not here to tell them how to parent, just here to share tips and tools on how to improve their communication skills and relationships. Another approach would be creating a culturally welcoming environment. This can be something as simple as Pacific Islander facilitators greeting participants as they enter a home-like setting. This provides a safe space where we are able to break bread not as facilitators and participants, but as a family, honoring these relationships. The safe space is important, especially when taboo topics and uncomfortable subjects may arise while trying to raise awareness and educate on current trends. Lastly, a cultural youth component, being able to teach young Pacific Islander youth more on their culture through arts, language, and practices.
Thank you so much, Lulu. Over the course of the workshops, facilitators are able to build a trusting relationship with the participants, and then they feel comfortable enough to be able to open up and share with us who they really are.
We are able to validate experiences through Talanoa or sharing stories, facilitate peer support, invite Pacific Islander guest speakers to share lived experience, and honor and celebrate culture.
Empower with respect for the Pacific Islander culture. Village concept is ours. It takes a village. We live it. We breathe it. We believe in it. We know that it takes a village to raise our future leaders. We acknowledge our households of multi-generations. We also know that language and culture is the root of who we are. I'd like to read a quote for you from one of our participants. This course is a new approach in child rearing, learning how to show love and how to speak without becoming angry. Culturally, we do what we know. Now I know different. This is from a Samoan great-grandparent.
Thank you. And I would also like to share a quote. The cultural part of Essence of Mana meant many things to me. I remember walking into the first day of class and feeling safe, comfortable, and welcomed. Since I felt safe and comfortable during the class, I did not hesitate sharing experiences and stories from my life. And this was shared by a Tongan parent.
Thank you so much, Lulu. And as you look at the picture, you notice the San Francisco Golden Gate Bay Bridge right there in the middle. We are that bridge. The Essence of Mana is the bridge for our community to keep moving forward. So Lulu, what were some of the program outcomes that were statistically significant in Essence of Mana?
Thank you, Auntie. These are just a few outcomes of participants in our program. 46% of parents and caregivers were very satisfied with the relationship with their child, and by the end of our course, it rose to 69%. Another outcome would be 66% of parents and caregivers always showed love and affection to their child, and post-cohort, that also increased to 76%. One of our Mana participants actually shared that after our first week of unit work, they immediately applied tools that were learned in Unit 1, and within that same week noticed a drastic change in the relationship between themselves and their child. Not only was the behavior of the child more calm, they were more receptive and understanding of that parent's reasoning. All it took was 1 week for Essence of Mana to impact their family and show positive change. Auntie Nani, what would you like to share?
So we asked the parents how concerned were they about their child's mental health. Pre-cohort, you see that there was at 44%. Post-cohort, you saw a decline to 36%. Depression and mental health was discussed during the 12-week program, and participants began to have a better understanding of mental health. So then we looked and asked the parents how did they feel, if they felt supported as a parent. And 54% said they did feel supported. Post-cohort, they said that they really felt supported because it increased to 71%. Participants expressed that they felt supported when dealing with current crisis with their teenagers. One parent expressed her concern for her teenagers being involved in gang, smoking marijuana, and not listening to her. Another parent expressed her concern because her teenager had ran away from home. The Essence of Mana Village was able to embrace these parents with love and support and referred back to what they had learned during the workshop and also seeking support from culturally competent community partners. So, Lulu, what were some of the results from the surveys with the Essence of Mana participants regarding them feeling comfortable around talking about community taboo topics?
As you all can see on the bottom row, some of the positive and desired changes that were observed over past cohorts include an increased comfortability on discussing parenting skills, substance use disorders, and family counseling. These changes measured a shift in outcomes and are statistically significant.
Then you notice domestic violence was about the same with no increase or decrease. However, rape and molestation did decrease in comfortability because of sharing of lived experiences around being raped and molested. Also, child abuse decreased because they learned more about the definition of what child abuse was, and really it brought up feelings of their own upbringing. So, Lulu, why do you think these strategies are so important for the Pacific Islander community?
These work because they show respect for culture, they validate and affirm Pacific Islander experiences. They also reflect our own experiences, which make it easy to empathize with participants. There is also a history of distrust in services because providers do not look like us.
Thank you so much, Lulu. So in wrapping it up, we just want to recognize the needs of our community and our Pacific Islander community is that, one, we need culturally specific programming for Pacific Islanders created by Pacific Islanders.
We need to collect and disaggregate Pacific Islander data. We need to see our faces. We need to hear our voices. We are not AAPI, we are just PI, Pacific Islanders.
And Pacific Islanders also should be invited to spaces to tell our stories. We are the narrators of our lived experiences.
And in Samoan, I'd like to say, Fa'afetai lava mole tu fatu fatuina, mai ole ne avanoa male Essence of Mana.
Thank you for sharing this space with the Essence of Mana program.
Yay! That's
Was that
awesome.
when there was some passionate comments made, or was it changed? The format was changed when you guys are putting it together?
Yeah, it actually was supposed to be in person in San Francisco at the conference, and it was just supposed to be the poster we were presenting on, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, y'all got to do some slides, and then you got to speak, and then you got to try to record. So please forgive Lulu and myself. That was our first time. However, we're very proud for many reasons. Not only did we make it ours, as in Pacific Islander background, as in just the visual, but we know we were one of the very few Pacific Islanders to represent at this conference, and this conference is like big. So I put in the chat the actual name, but it's the American Public Health Association conference, and so it's real big. And the beautiful thing is that we had our evaluator Dr. Robin Battles, and we had our SSG team, and we had Junior Flores just encouraging us to just get out there. And it doesn't have to be that way, their way, it can be our way. And that's what we are. We're always about telling our stories. So we highly encourage all of you Pacific Islanders to please keep moving forward and telling your stories and being in those spaces, because we shouldn't be one out of 1,000. We should be at least half and half. So
yeah, no, I love that it talked about the outcomes. You know what I mean? It talked about the outcomes of the program, and it's the bottom line is the two of you telling us what it's about. So that's really the most important thing. Is you have those of us old enough to remember, for us, by us.
we know that.
There you have, as long as it's us speaking to us, that's a good thing.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being able to, share that because, the conference costs money and, we're like, oh, can we share this with our community? Because it's really for our community. Yes,
Right.
we want to bring it and elevate
Mhm.
Pacific Islanders to the world so they know, but we want to bring it to our people so they know as well. They're more important. They're first
Yeah.
always.
It was a great presentation. You're getting a lot of hand clapping and everybody shouting you guys out for doing a great job. So thank you for that and for sharing your story, our story in that space. Now, when is the next cohort? We said that February, right? It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
online.
Mm-hmm.
What is the date again?
It is February 4th. Yes. Our next
Mm-hmm.
cohort is February 4th. And like you had mentioned, it is going to be virtual. The community safety is what's most important to us. So we didn't want to try to find little loopholes where we have class just have desks like 6 feet from each other. But yeah, we would love to have it in person, but just wanted to make sure our people are safe and
Yes.
yeah, host another virtual cohort.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Especially for us, because I mean, it's more important for us to be safe than a lot of other groups. So good
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
That is awesome.
So if you're interested, hit us up because, we are taking registration early.
So would we find that on the Essence of Mana page, or where would we direct people to go to participate in the class?
Lou?
You can message our Facebook page or contact me. I know my million videos that I used to post. I had my email and my
Still on there.
Essence of Mana phone number on there. So Masina at healthright360.org or by phone number at 415-243-6328. But yeah, if it's easier for folks, you can definitely contact us on the Facebook page. We are on it at all times.
And you can message you can
Oh yeah,
message
or yeah.
message us on there too.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Important information. So share it out. Share the show out.
Yes.
And do we have another video or are we done? We have a program outcomes.
Oh no, that was part of the video. That
Oh,
was
okay.
the video.
Awesome. That you guys did a great job. Are there any other announcements or shout outs that you beautiful ladies would like to get out?
I think for me, it's always important, just as a reminder for those who just joined us. Again, the Essence of Mana, like we were talking, will start February 4th. Journey to Empowerment is the first Friday of every month, which will be December, but not in January because the first Friday is a holiday. And then again, supporting Samoan Solutions with their turkey trot. Metal pickup, right? This Saturday?
I'll pick up this
Metal
Saturday.
pickup, and then also they are supporting Pacific Islander businesses, so there'll be some folks out there sharing, selling stuff, and things like that. And then also with SCDC, the Samoan Wellness Initiative has restarted up, and you'll see a flyer for the next date. And anything else, Lou? And FIA's Talanoa Wednesday is tomorrow. And then Fui and them have the Talanoa, is it this
On November
Thursday?
19th. Yeah.
19.
Yes, this Thursday evening, but we'll have class. So we'll be there in spirit. And I love it. I love that there's so much stuff happening
There's
that
so much stuff.
get your day book out, write it down, and support our community. That's what it's about, right?
That's right.
Support our Pacific Islander business folks, support our Pacific Islander safe spaces. Tell your stories, tell your experiences, let people know, man, we're doing this together. We're not doing it in silos. We're doing it as the entire village.
I love that there's all the support for all the organizations out there. I love that that's always in the closing. When PIs are closing a show, they're like talking about everybody else's show. And it's a good problem to have for our community when there's so many shows that you end up missing one. You got to pick one up and go onto somebody's Facebook page and go look for the live. That's a good problem to have when there's so many shows that you're going to end up missing them. That's a good thing. Thank you, Nani.
Thank you, brother.
Lulu, anything you want to get out before we?
I think Auntie Nani mentioned everything, but I really did want to say thank you to you both for facilitating this. It felt good to not have you having to worry about asking questions or creating questions. You know, all I did was pop up in a video, but I somehow messed that up. But still, it was yeah. I want to say thank you for everyone who's been supporting us throughout this whole journey, and yeah, just recognizing everybody who's putting on all this hard work into the community. And also, if you speak Samoan and you heard me say tufa ina wrong, I am so sorry. It was around 2 o'clock in the morning when we were recording that, and my mind went blank, and I said the first word that came to mind, and so I'm so sorry. No disrespect, but
You did a great
You did a
job.
great
You
job.
did, and Lulu, that was like the 999th take at 2 in the morning. So
Yeah.
you was good, girl.
Yeah.
You
you
was
did.
good.
Great job. You did
And
a
I think it's only right too for you guys, please, to share. You've got so many things. You've joined
gosh.
your tomorrow's Wednesday. You're joining at 10 in the morning. And then if you could just share with everybody also your guys' schedule, please.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Sundays we are on. We have our FICA broadcast Sundays at 10 a.m. till 11ish. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we have a link you can listen to us. You can download our FICA app. Monday, we have Koviki Talk, which is Pacific Islanders talking about COVID-19 and everything that has to do with Pacific Islanders and COVID-19. On Tuesdays, we have our FICA midweek where we have a guest on and speak. And then 7 p.m., we head on over to Essence of Mana's Talanoa Tuesday. Wednesday, you can find us on the Dash app, Island City Media, which is Q and DJ Green's new media center. They rebranded Island Block Radio.
Nice.
And then Thursday, I sleep.
But wait a minute.
I'm either in Journey to Empowerment or Cafe Wellness or something. But yeah.
One more. There's one more. It's my favorite. I think of the little boy, Snacky with Nackie.
Oh, Snacky with, yes, we're on round 11 of Snacky with Nackie. So I'm grateful for everybody that donates 50 cents. And we collect as long as the round goes. And at the end of the round, wherever we go to snacky or eat, we tip our server, whatever we collect. So I'm grateful for that. That's one of my favorite projects. So yeah,
And
we're crazy busy.
we're also on Cali FM, 106.3 FM in Southern California. And before we go, because I'm going to let Nackie take us home, I want to say I love you, Tutu, and I love your hat.
Yes. If you missed any of this, you can
Antique Coke.
If you've missed any of this episode of Talanoa Tuesday, you can replay this back on Essence of Mana. And the good thing about this is you can watch this anytime and as many times as you want. Please catch Nani and Lulu every Tuesday at 7 p.m. right here. They do an amazing job. Big shout out to Essence of Mana and to Mr. Flores who tuned in. We appreciate you. We appreciate this space. Thank you for letting us come in and take over for this little time. But we needed to highlight you and Lulu and just highlight the amazing work that you two are doing. We are so proud to share space with the both of you. And you know I love you because Journey to Empowerment started my healing and started lots of people's healing. So whatever you guys need, whenever you need it, we're going to be here. Thank you so much. And we will see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Love you both.
Thank you. Thank you.